Hello and welcome back into Centex Primetime. I am your host, Jalen, Gillis, getting ready to bring you through the primetime topics in sports, not just here locally, but from all around the nation. We want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on this Monday. Happy Monday, everyone out there today. Thank you for tuning in with us here on Centex Primetime, 5 to 7 p.m. as always. If you haven't already, make sure you guys go over to the YouTube, hit that subscribe button, also click the bell so you can get notified when we go live here on Centex Primetime, Monday through Thursday. Also, you can watch this content on CentexSportsNetwork.com. That is CentexSportsNetwork.com. You go over there, free subscription, get signed up for free, catch all of our content, behind-the-scenes action as well on CentexSportsNetwork.com. You can also follow us over on Instagram at Centex Primetime, Centex Sports TV over on Twitter and Facebook as well. So once again, thank you guys for tuning in with us here on this Monday afternoon. We got plenty to talk about. The Indiana Pacers headed to the NBA Finals, something that I'm sure a lot of us did not have when the season started. If you did have that, you probably live in Indiana or somewhere near it. That's the only way I think you can have that. They'll be taking on the Oklahoma City Thunder, the team who had the number one seed last year, the team with the MVP of this year, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander. They'll be taking on the Pacers. That starts on Thursday. We'll talk about that as well here today. Also, we'll talk some quick takes. We'll talk about some stuff going on in the world of sports. We've been hearing reports about Shedeur Sanders. We've been seeing different things going on in the NIL world with college sports, so we got plenty to talk about with that as well. We'll talk a little bit of baseball as Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge put on a show this past weekend when the Dodgers and Yankees had 3 games against each other back to back to back. And we'll also talk about what's going on here locally in sports. We'll cover some high school football and talk about a couple of teams that got crowned champions. A couple of teams that got crowned champions this past weekend in the Central Texas area here in softball. So we got a lot to talk about. Also, we've got the Softball World Series and we've got the Baseball World Series all going on right now. So still plenty going on here in the world of sports today. Folks, we'll get right into it. Joining me today on the show, we've got the WISD Hall of Famer, former Texas Tech Red Raider, and former San Diego Charger, Mr. Wayne Walker, in the building with us. Wayne, what's going on?
Hey, what's going on, Jalen? Man, just excited to be here and to talk about what's going on in the world of sports today.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Well, Wayne, I see you got your Tech gear on today. Before we jump into it, man, if you got a chance to watch your Red Raiders in this softball tournament, because I've been tuned in to watch the $1 Million Girl and Najee Kennedy, and she's been doing her thing out there so far in this tournament.
Yes, this is a lot of excitement in Red Raider land, man. Wreck 'em always. And, man, she's been dominant throughout the tournament.
Oh, yeah.
The farthest our softball team has been. And, man, maybe we can get a couple of these recruits from around here that won state this weekend.
Yeah.
Man. We got to keep it going, but about progress and the success that our softball team has been having.
Yeah, like you said, there's just a lot of excitement and promise going on right now just in Red Raider Nation in general. We're looking at the transfer portal offseason they had in football. We're looking at the recruits they've been bringing in basketball, just coming off an Elite Eight. Now in softball, tonight, in a few minutes, in about 40 minutes, they're taking on Oklahoma, who's won 4 national championships in a row.
Yeah.
But they just lost to Texas a couple days ago, so they're reeling coming off of that, playing against Najee Kennedy. So I'll definitely be tuned into that. As they'll play a doubleheader if necessary. If Tech wins the first one, I believe they'll play another one right after that, following at about 8 o'clock.
Yeah, that's a tough challenge. Oklahoma, probably 3-time back-to-back national.
4-time. They won 4 in a row.
Okay, 4 in a row. So a definitely big challenge, especially playing in Oklahoma.
Yeah.
But man, hey, like I said, I always go Raiders. I'm rooting for my Red Raiders, and maybe, it might be our year. So, and it's all predicated on our pitcher, our $1 Million Girl. So, hey, maybe she can go out and she can throw a 3-4 hitter, and we'll be okay.
Yeah, I'll definitely be tuned into that one. And like you said, just a phenomenal tournament that she's been on and run that she's been on. The baseball side, we've had upsets already on the baseball side. So I'm already starting to tune in with the World Series, College World Series, going on the baseball side as well. Some big upsets. I think Texas lost. I want to say Tennessee lost as well on the men's side of the bracket
Vanderbilt lost to
Wright
State.
That's what Vanderbilt lost, and they were number one seed coming into this, and
no
lost right off the bat. So they shaking things up a little bit out there in baseball and softball in the World Series. folks, we want to jump straight into this NBA talk here as the Indiana Pacers punched their ticket, headed to the finals for the first time since 99-2000 when Reggie Miller and those guys fell short to Shaquille O'Neal and Kobe Bryant. This team has been resilient all year long. A team, like I said at the beginning, nobody had these guys picked to go to the finals unless you live in the state of Indiana. I can't see I didn't hear any analysts really talking about these guys like that. Even when the playoffs started, a lot of people, including myself, I thought if the Bucks were healthy, I thought the Bucks were going to take these guys out. That didn't work. They got picked against Cleveland. They take Cleveland out in 5 games. They got picked against in the New York series. They go out there and win every game they have pretty much in New York and taking care of home court advantage as well, taking New York out in 6 games. This Indiana Pacers team, they win 125-108 in the game. Tyrese Halliburton started off the game really slow, but was doing as usual, still controlling the pace, finished with 13 assists. In that third and fourth quarter, his scoring kicked up to go along with it. He finished with 21 points. The Eastern Conference MVP, Pascal Siakam, showed why he was getting that MVP. Another 30-point game. He had 3 30-point games in this series alone. Really stepped up in a big way for these guys. Rick Carlisle seems like he knew what buttons to push and what strings to pull each and every time. Every time the Knicks would go on a run, he made the right substitutions. Multiple injuries to guys that play a lot of minutes. Neesmith got an injury. They plug and play, get guys in there. Jerace Walker, who was a lottery pick out of Houston a few years ago for the Pacers, he started to have a really good series. He gets hurt. And we see a guy that hasn't got a lot of action really in a few years, and Tony Bradley. He played a big part in the series. He gets hurt, and then he subs in Thomas Bryant. So Rick Carlisle, phenomenal coaching job done by him. This Pacers team headed to the finals, 2 back-to-back Eastern Conference Finals appearances. Now they finally break through, get to the finals to play against Oklahoma City Thunder. Wayne, what did you think on Saturday when you saw the Pacers finally put a fork in this one and take those guys out?
Oh, man, I'm piggyback off what you said. You know, not what we really expected to be in the NBA Finals. You knew they were one of the top 5 teams in the Eastern Conference, but you would have to put Boston, and then you would have to put Cleveland, then you would say New York, and then you would say even in Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And Miami at the time when they had Jimmy Butler. So something we definitely didn't expect, a small market team like Indianapolis, the Pacers getting in, but hey, they there. They played resilient and team basketball. It was always someone to step up. They plug and played. Guys got injured, like you say. Rick Carlisle put the other guy in, and when it was their time to shine, they came in and shined and was ready to take on the task of coming in and playing at opportune times or when an injury happens. So, congratulations to the Indianapolis to the Pacers. Man, the guys played well. They played well, and they deserve to be in the championship. They took out Milwaukee, then Cleveland, then New York. So they deserve to be there. They did the work. They put in the work to be there. So congratulations to those guys, and it's going to be a great series between them and Oklahoma.
Yeah, that's going to be a phenomenal series, high-paced series between these two teams. Like you said, Rick Carlisle being able to push all of those buttons and getting those different guys. This team, there's been a lot of talk about, the dying off now of the big three, getting the big 3 superstars, because now we're seeing 2 teams that are not only built similarly, but they kind of got their players in a similar way as well. You think about the Thunder getting SGA from a Clippers team, not that the Clippers gave up on him, but they clearly didn't think he was the MVP caliber player he is right now because they traded him.
Right,
you think about it, Tyrese Halliburton, he was on the Kings in the backcourt with De'Aaron Fox. Pacers took a chance. Not only took a chance, they traded their best player. They got rid of Sabonis while he's in his prime just to go and get Tyrese Halliburton. Yeah. They cash in, be able to do it. And then this Pacers team, different guys that we've seen almost all of these guys. They've got some homegrown guys, but a lot of these guys were players that teams gave up on and felt like they could move on from. A Pascal Siakam, who won a championship for the Raptors.
Right.
They were able to pick him up, and they moved on from him. Think about a guy like Obi Toppin, who I think probably had his best series of his career in this series against the Knicks, who was on the Knicks, who got drafted by the Knicks in the lottery. T.J. McConnell was on the Sixers. All these different guys that played a huge part for them. this Indiana Pacers front office has done a great job. Rick Carlisle has done a great job being able to pick those right pieces, and something that other teams in the league should be able to pick up on, like the Lakers and maybe some of these other teams. It seems like every time somebody got injured, they had somebody on the bench that could play. The Knicks, every time it seemed like they were subbing somebody in that either didn't get a lot of time to play or they just didn't trust to play, so they maybe only get 3 or 4 minutes. The Pacers, it looks like 1 through 15, everyone on here can play, because if we need you to step in, they can plug and play right in the moment and be able to step in and make those plays. So that was huge for this Pacers team to be able to get to the finals using their depth, using different guys. Some nights Halliburton didn't have it, but Siakam did. Some nights Siakam didn't have it, but Halliburton did. All these guys play well off each other, and like Siakam said, this is like year 3 for these guys and with these guys. So we're seeing teams that are staying together. You know, the last few years we're seeing a different team almost every year getting to the finals, and that might be a team that didn't play a lot of time together. They just kind of all got thrown together. So what do you think about these teams and the way that the two teams getting there and the way that they've been built through the draft and through free agency and different things like that?
Well, you know, when Indiana took a chance on a bunch of cast-off from other teams to build their team, the only consistent was Miles Turner, who has been there the longest. Then you had a guy like Sabonis, and you kind of paired him with that guy, and so you know you bring in a new GM, and they say, hey, well let's change our team. So they started to change their team, got him some assets in the Sabonis trade, which is indirectly to Paul George.
Yes.
Which is basically the way the Thunder got a lot of assets.
He's responsible for this whole finals right now.
So you look at the way both of these teams were constructed. In Indiana, through cast-off and through trades, and then Oklahoma, basically through trades, with starting from James Harden to Kevin Durant to Russell Westbrook and Paul George. So and they still have a bunch of assets.
A lot.
So you're talking about, and then you're talking about a guy SGA was a guy that was drafted by the Charlotte Hornets and was traded on draft night
to the Clippers.
And then the Clippers in turn trade him for Paul George. So you just look at how these two teams were constructed. Indiana. I keep calling them Indianapolis.
That's where they at,
Yeah, but I know that's where they're at. They're the Indiana Pacers.
Yeah.
So Indiana, through cast off and through a few picks and draft picks and assets, and basically Oklahoma through draft picks, through the assets that they had. And I think they still got 2 or 3 first-round draft choices.
I think they have more than they can actually use. I think they're like almost forced to trade some this summer because they have more than they can even use.
Right. So, constructively built, similarities. And like you said, we've gotten away from the big 3. Everybody thought you had to have the big 3 to win. And the last time that has actually worked was when I want to say in Golden State when they had Clay, and then they had
Clay,
Durant,
Steph, KD,
and
Draymond.
Steph, and Draymond. So, but over the last few years, the big 3 hadn't worked. It hadn't worked at all. So, when you take a look at it, I think that's the way to do it, through assets and kind of developing your own players and getting you some cash off and getting you a good roster and a deep roster where you do have depth that can come in and play and you can plug and play.
Yeah.
I think that's the formula that's working now. And as in football, it's a copycat league, and in basketball, it's a copycat league as well. When Miami went out and got the big 3, everybody tried to get the big 3 at that point. You remember in New Jersey when they went out, they had KD, Harden, and they had
Kyrie.
So everybody tried to simulate that, and it hadn't always worked. And I think the best way, and then when you do that, you have so many controlling type players. You have so many dominant players that's ball dominant, and you can't get it done. You get your one leader, and you get your 4 good players, and I think you can do it. So.
I think we're going back to seeing not only before the Big Three era, but when guys really have roles on teams.
Right,
I mean, both the Thunder and the Pacers, they have such great rosters not only because of their depth, but because guys have defined roles. Okay, Halliburton, you're gonna get the offense going. If you don't get a shot, our first shot is going to Siakam. Then if you don't get a shot, then we'll get the ball to Nembhard and Neesmith and all these different guys. Yeah.
I mean, they just have a complete team, and they have a great coach that knows how to push buttons and knows what to do, and that's a part of coaching. In those first 5, 6, 7 minutes of the game, seeing what's working for you, and if that's not working for you, you make in-game adjustments, and we do something different. And like you said, he was able to push all the right buttons, and that's why they're in the Eastern Conference. I mean, that's why they're in the NBA Finals right now.
Yeah, this team is super resilient. Like I said, nobody picked these guys to be able to do that. I love seeing the almost resurgence of Rick Carlisle, because every year in the league we find a new young coach that we all think is the best guy, even Mark Daigneault that's in Oklahoma City, and he has done a phenomenal job. But once they see, they got a new coach, well, maybe we need to go out and get a new coach, and they start to move on from these guys that spent so much time in the game. Somebody like Rick Carlisle has been part of the NBA since the 90s, probably since the 80s, even before then. So, I mean, Rick Carlisle has been a part of the NBA for years. He's seen decades worth in the NBA and had multiple bites at the apple as far as winning a championship. He was able to finish it in 2011. But this is a guy that went to, I believe, 2 or 3 Eastern Conference Finals in a row with the Pistons before they eventually moved on from him and ended up getting Larry Brown as their coach when they finally won. But Rick Carlisle is a guy that's been a part of multiple different organizations, knows how to win, knows how to push the right buttons. And I think this is going to be a chess match in this NBA Finals when you talk about the different matchups that are going to be, we're going to see the different adjustments that we're going to see from both teams. So this Indiana Pacers team headed off to win. The Eastern Conference Finals MVP was Pascal Siakam. We all saw the clips where we saw Tyrese Halliburton kind of walking to the front before they announced it, and then it's Siakam. I don't believe that with these guys. I think that each other are happy for each other in the scenario and for their teammates in winning this Eastern Conference Finals trophy. We always try to find some type of division. We did it last year when Jalen Brown won it, and all the cameras, as soon as he wins, all the cameras go to Jason Tatum. Like, we're trying to start this division between guys. They try to do it with Halliburton and Siakam. I don't even think this team is like that. I think Halliburton is a super unselfish player. Did he probably want to win it? Sure. But you still got a chance to win the Finals MVP. And above everything, I'm pretty sure they want to win an NBA championship, regardless who's holding up the MVP trophy within that. But what do you think about Pascal Siakam winning this conference finals? Because this is a guy, like I said, or like you just said, a cast-off from the Raptors. They were able to win it, but a lot of people felt like he hasn't really grown much since they won that, and he hasn't been able to do too much. And then we see him in this playoffs. He's that steady force for this team over and over and over whenever they need a bucket, whenever they need a shot, whether it's from the perimeter. He had 3 threes in this game, shot 11 free throws in that game as well for them. We know how he is as a defender. He had 3 blocks in that game as well. What do you think about Siakam's impact in this series and then just for this Pacers team in general?
Well, that honor was well deserved. The conference finals MVP. He was their most consistent player.
Yes, he was.
I
think for 2 series.
Halliburton was great, and he done some great things, but he wasn't consistent. He wasn't night in and night out consistent. He shined in big games. And maybe out of that 6-game series, maybe 3 games. But Pascal played every game,
every single game,
and he was consistent. So it's an honor that's well deserved. It's other people that try to rip you apart as a team and try to make something out of nothing. For Halliburton, maybe getting the Finals MVP was probably a personal goal, but man, when you go into the season, with a team goal in mind, and the team goal is the World Championship.
Yep. And
like you said, I think that's what's on these guys' mind. Not an individual accolade as far as a finals, a conference finals MVP, but the team goal means more than anything. The thing about it is, they'll remember that before they'll remember who won the NBA MVP. I mean, the conference finals MVP. But they'll always remember who was the world champions in 2025. So, and it's the team goal and the team achievement that means more to you than anything. So, I think that's where they're at, and I think that's what they're focused on, and I think that's what they're worried about. And if you don't get it, you go and congratulate your teammates. Say, man, hey, congratulations, and then we move on and we play basketball.
Yeah, let's go close the deal.
Yeah, let's go close it, man. We got to win 4 more games. That's all we have to do. We have to win 4 more games. That's the only thing between us and our goal is 4 more wins, and that's what we're trying to do at this point.
Yeah, I don't think, like I said, those guys are worried about. Tyrese is not worried about, oh man, he got the finals conference finals MVP or this and that, or I should have got it. Like you said, everyone's gonna remember just you getting a trip to go to the finals, because there's plenty of guys that never go to the finals that play in the NBA for 15 years and never get a chance to even get to the finals. So they'll remember getting to the finals more than they'll remember who got that conference MVP trophy going forward. Like we talked a lot about this Pacers side. I want to talk a little bit about the other side in the New York Knicks. Falling short again now 2 years in a row where they're favored in the series. And not only favored in the series, they're favored in the series against the Pacers. And they lost now 2 years in a row to this team. Brunson wasn't able to have that great of a game. Only 19 points in that game. Karl Towns, 22 points and 14 rebounds, but was kind of inefficient and didn't shoot well from behind the line like we've seen him usually do from that three-point line. Was 0 for 4 from behind the line. There's a lot of different things I feel like going on with this Knicks team and why they weren't successful. Last year we got a chance to blame it on injury because pretty much their entire starting 5 got hurt last year. Now they bring in a Karl Towns who played great at moments, but you just spoke about that consistency when we were talking about Halliburton. I think that's what's going on with these Knicks. They don't have a guy that's consistent, and I said it at the beginning of the playoffs. When Jalen Brunson doesn't score 30 points, the New York Knicks aren't they're not a real threat to anybody because defense is out the window, which is something we usually never see from a Tibbs team, from a Coach Tibbs team. It's always going to be defense first. This is the first time that I can remember since I've seen him as a coach where offense was on the front and defense was on the back burner this time, and I feel like that kind of hurt them moving forward. They spent a lot of draft capital to bring in Mikal Bridges, and I know that he's friends with these guys and he fits in with these guys well. But if I'm going to give up 5 first-round picks, I'm expecting give me at least 18 to 20 points in the playoffs. 5 first-round picks. That's what I'm expecting to see from a guy. And Mikal Bridges was relatively quiet all playoffs long, not just in the series. He had moments where I remember a couple big games against Boston. Mm-hmm. But Mikal Bridges was relatively quiet. OG Anunoby, he kind of was that, a lot of times, that second scorer whenever either Brunson or Towns wasn't going. But he's not a guy that you really stick out there to be a scorer. Josh Hart is a guy that's an effort guy, but you can't really expect too much from him scoring the ball. If you're the New York Knicks, what do you got to think and what do you got to do going into this offseason? Because we're already starting to see the finger pointing, and we haven't even got one day from them being out of the playoffs, and we're already starting to see the finger pointing.
Well, you hit the nail right on the head when you were talking about a Tibbs team that's always – he's known for defense. Mm-hmm. He's a defensive guy. But in order to beat a team like Indiana, which was a bad matchup for him, for me.
It was.
Because when you get a team like Indiana, they can take the ball out the net and they can run. And you've seen that on several occasions where they take the ball right out the net and then on the other end,
it was a layup line in Game 6.
It's a layup right afterwards. So I think that on the New York side, you got a great player in Jalen Brunson. You got a potentially good player in Cat. Mm-hmm. But you was talking about defining roles. He has to define his role. He has to know what he has to do to be dominant. When you get into after year 5 in the league, you should have things figured out at that point. And you should have basketball. Basketball is a simple sport. I'm not an NBA player, but just look for basketball is a simple sport. If you can't score from outside and you 6'11", 7 feet tall, and your 3-point shot is not, and you're the second biggest player on the team, and you're not hitting your 3-point shot, now it's time to turn your back to the basket and post up and dominate that way. They have to figure it out. I think they need more wing players. I think they need more guys that can run, long, lengthy guys. You have Anunoby, who's a good player. He's a decent player. And then like you said, Bridges. They gave up more for him than Dallas gave up for Luka.
Way more. Way more. That's crazy.
But I think they still need more, and they don't have enough. They won't ever be able to be Indiana because they don't have the personnel to do it.
Yep.
And if you're only playing 7 guys off your bench, you're playing your 5 and then 3 guys off the bench, which you start to try to play more at the end of the series, but at this point it's too late.
It's too late. The damage is done.
Yeah, the damage is already done. So for the Knicks, I think they need more athletic wings. They said with Jalen Brunson. But Josh Hart is a small guy.
Yeah.
And don't get me wrong, man. He's a dog. He goes out and hustles.
Yeah, he does.
And he does all the little things that you need to do. But you need somebody more dominant at that position that can dominate. Mitchell Robinson is a guy that can block shots, and he's a great defender. But you're not gonna get a lot out of him from offense. I'm hacking him.
Yeah, he's a liability.
He's a liability. So what you have to do is you have to go get you some guy that can score at the center position, and you got to go get you some more athletic wings.
Yeah.
And that can run the floor and that can defend. If you don't do that, then I can't see the Knicks doing anything in the next couple of years.
Yeah, they got to get. In my opinion, they need a 2-guard that can take the pressure off of Jalen Brunson, having to initiate all of the offense, having to take almost all the shots. Anunoby and Bridges, they're good players, but they're the same player, in my opinion. We're a little redundant. And Josh Hart kind of can be thrown into that. They're all kind of hustle guys that can score at times, but they're not scorers. Anunoby was able to find some shots every night, but he's not a scorer.
Right,
they need somebody that can just, hey, we need you to go and get a bucket right now.
And that's what they need. Just like you said, they need that combo. Like they need a combo guy, like small forward, a shooting guard that can go out and score. That's kind of got some height because you already got a guy in Jalen Brunson that's under 6'3".
Yeah.
So you need some guy with a little height on him that can defend and that can score as well and that can run the floor. Some athletic guy, and that's what they need. And Mikal Bridges is an in-between guy. He comes in and he plays point guard. Sometimes he comes in and he's shooting guard, and then he plays as small forward. But he's not giving him enough. He's a little guy that's slender, slender built. You need a big body guy that can go out and that can score and can be that defensive guy for you and that can, like you say, take that pressure off. But and you need a center that can score. You need an offensive center. It's okay to bring in Robinson for defense, but you need a guy that can score on that end as well.
He can't be that big of a liability on offense.
And you have Cat that can do that, but
he's so bad defensively. And I know it's got to be killing Tibbs because his teams have always been built the same. The center is the anchor of the defense. When you think about the Bulls or Joakim Noah, even the Timberwolves when they had Rudy Gobert, and then when he first got to the Knicks and they had Mitchell Robinson and Hartenstein and all these different guys, their defensive point has been the center being the anchor of the defense, and I feel like that's probably their biggest problem is their two biggest penetration points are from the point guard and the center, which a lot of people, you want that to be a staple on your defensive end. You want your point guard to be able to pick up and stop and mess up their offense to stop from the beginning. You want your big man to be the last line of defense, to be able to protect the rim, and their absolute 2 worst defenders on the team are their point guard and their center, who also happen to be their highest paid players and their 2 biggest stars are the worst defenders on the team. And that kind of came back to bite him. Brunson, they could pick on him on defense. They're getting him tired on defense. Then he comes on the other side. If he's not hitting, Brunson is a good player, but I think he's a guy that just takes all difficult shots. I like to see when you can get, like you said, once you're in year 5 and 6, the game ought to be easy. The greats did the simple stuff amazing. Michael Jordan could get right into the post every single time, and it was, I can go off the glass, I can go short corner, I can go from the elbow. I can get wherever I want to get out of this triangle and make an easy play. When all your shots are step back threes and floaters from the free throw line, and I got to fall and try to get an and one. When it's not falling, you're gonna have these games like we've seen multiple times throughout the playoffs where he's getting 19 points, 15 points, and he's probably giving up another 25 on the other side.
He's exerting himself so much because he's bringing the ball down the floor.
Yep.
And then Indiana, what they did, the adjustment they made was they started defending him 94 feet down the goal. So, man, at this point, you're tired. I know you play a lot of minutes per game, but you're tired, man, because somebody's pushing on you and tugging on you the whole game.
Yeah.
And that gets, man, that's 48 minutes of somebody just sitting there putting pressure on you.
Yeah.
So that takes a toll on you, and it takes a toll on your body. So you had to have somebody to take that pressure off of him, and they didn't have anybody to take that pressure off of him. He had to score for them to be able to win. Cat had to score for them to be able to win. And when they were inefficient and they didn't score, they had no chance of winning. With Indiana, on the other hand, if Halliburton didn't score, you had a number of guys that came in and that could score. And you had guys that come off the bench that could give you numbers and put up numbers, and New York didn't have that. They didn't have that at all. They didn't have anybody. If Brunson didn't score over 30, they had absolutely no chance of winning.
No chance. It was like that in every single game throughout this playoffs. We watched it in their first series against Detroit. Whenever Brunson would have a bad game, all of a sudden, Cade Cunningham, on the other hand, is starting to kill, and Brunson can't guard Cunningham. So you're giving up so much on the defensive end. If your shot is not falling on the other side, we could take advantage of that. We know you're not going to play no defense. You got a couple decent wing defenders when you talk about Hart and Bridges and Anunoby, but you have no rim protection and you have no ball stopper to come out at the front end when you talk about the point guard spot because you got Brunson there. Then you're not playing but two guys off the bench. So once you have to dribble up the court every single time and then you got to initiate the offense, then you get scored on 3 times in a row and your shot's not falling, man, it's hard to get back into a game for a guy like Brunson. It's hard to get back into it. There's been a lot of talk about Coach Tibbs and now his future with the team. It's gotten to the point they even asked Brunson on their exit interview after the game, do you think Coach Tibbs is the guy for the job? And, of course, he said absolutely he's the guy for the job. But when you look at this team, something's got to change. You do the same thing over and over and over and get this. That's the definition of insanity. So something's got to change, whether it's the coach, whether it's the players. What do you think it has to be? Do they make some changes on there, or do they make some change with the coach?
It's the players. But then the coach has to know how to adjust as well. What he did in this series wasn't working, so now he has to know how to adjust. He got out coached.
He did.
By far by Rick Carlisle.
Absolutely.
And so he has to learn to do some things. He has to take this as a lesson as well. New York has gone farther than they've been in years, over 30 years. So, you have to take that and you have to build on it. Now, if the same results happen next year, then it's time to probably look into a new coach. But you give them that opportunity to come back and try to do it all over again and try to make those adjustments. And now you know how you have to adjust your roster, because I just think Indiana had a better roster than they did all the way around.
Yeah, I heard some people saying we probably just really didn't give Indiana enough credit for how good this team actually was.
Right.
Eventually, it's not an upset anymore when you upset somebody, when you upset 3 rounds in a row. Eventually it's not an upset. You're probably just a better team than a lot of these guys. And the thing about,
they was an underdog in every series.
Every single series.
Man, but you have to say, hey, Indiana just deserves to be there. They outplayed these guys.
Yep.
They were well coached, and they got the job done. That's the only thing you can say about the whole situation, Jalen. They got the job done.
Yep.
And they got it done when it counted. And for the last month of the season, they were playing better than anybody in the whole league.
Man.
And when you start playing and you figure out your chemistry and how you can play together during that time, and then you take that on into the playoffs, and then you have success in the playoffs, man. It means a lot.
Especially to your point, when you get hot at the end of the season and you're already a good team and you're starting to click, we've seen it way too many times. I think a couple of years ago when the Heat got to the finals against the Nuggets, they were like the 7th seed, but they played great basketball that last month of the season and went all the way through the playoffs and were able to upset each and every round and get to the finals where they eventually lost to the Nuggets. I think back to even the Knicks team last time they were in the finals. I believe they were the 8th seed when that was in the 99 with Larry Johnson and Allen Houston and all those guys. But they played great basketball at the end of the season, and they parlayed that all the way into the playoffs. So I think this Indiana Pacers team is kind of doing the same. That matchup is against the Oklahoma City Thunder. That game is on Thursday at 7:30. Wayne, first look at this matchup between these two teams who I've said and a lot of people are saying are similarly built teams. That guys with great point guard play, they're guys with a lot of depth, guys with good coaching, good organizational hierarchy when you talk about the GM to the coach to the owners. Everybody's been doing their job the right way. What do you think about this matchup between these two teams? Thunder right now the favorite in this series to start it off, but like we just talked about, that don't mean too much if you're talking about the Pacers who haven't been favored in any series they played in. I'm sure they don't care about not being favored.
And they use that as motivation.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you can use that as a motivational tool and say, hey, man, here we are again, underdogs. Let's go show them what we all about. But Oklahoma is a different animal than everybody else. I mean, you're talking about a team that started from the beginning of the season that was playing great and continue to do that throughout. You're talking about a team that's defensively constructed. You know, you got guys that can take things. You got guys like Caruso that can come in and lock down a guy. You have Holgram, you have Hardenstein, you have guys that's defensive minded on this team.
Yes.
You got Dort. Even SGA is a defensive guy. He's a scorer, but he's an all-around guy. He's a complete player, and when you have a complete player like that can score and that can play and that can defend, man, it's the ultimate. It's the ultimate. It's the ultimate.
Yeah.
And like you said, they're evenly matched, but man, I'm gonna have to give this one to OKC, man. I think OKC is they got just as much depth as they have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, where they can play 12 guys off. You know, 5 and then 7 that can come in and play.
Yep.
So I mean, like they are similar as into the way they play. I think the only edge that Indiana really has in this series is Rick Carlisle.
Yes. I definitely 100% agree with that. Rick Carlisle, I believe, is the better coach going into this series. But I'm like you. I got Oklahoma City all the way. We'll be talking about the finals all week, but I can already go ahead and make my pick because I've been saying it for the last couple of series. Nobody wants to play this Oklahoma City team. You're talking about the same amount of depth as this Pacers team. But everybody that checks in the game is a dog defensive. Everybody, 1 through 10, that's going to get in this game will pick you up 94 feet all the way, and they're a threat to score. They got shooters on this team. They have size. When they went out and went and got Hardenstein, I thought was a phenomenal job. They had a somewhat quiet offseason if you're going to compare them to people like the Lakers who got the Luka trade that was midseason, but different guys that tried to make those big adjustments. Even the Knicks, they go and get 5 first-round picks from Mikal Bridges. Then they backdoor trade Julius Randle for Karl-Anthony Towns. This Oklahoma City team made 2 of the biggest moves in the offseason that were quiet. They signed a free agent in Isaiah Hartenstein, give him $100 million. They trade for Alex Caruso, who was on a bad team in the Chicago Bulls. Trade for him, insert him in there, and now this team is right there. I think back to a Warriors team when they started their dynasty because there's all this talk about the Thunder becoming a dynasty. And a lot of people saying Oklahoma City they won't before the playoffs. They're saying I don't believe in them. They don't have a lot of they don't have a lot of experience when you talk about the playoffs. Mm-hmm. But last year could have been that experience that they needed. They went against the team that won the West, went to 6 against that team, and I feel like honestly could have won. But the young guys showed up and looked really young when you talk about a Jalen Williams and a Chet Holmgren, and even at times SGA. I haven't felt like that in this playoffs at all. Like I said, I think back to the Warriors team when they started their dynasty. They had losses to teams that they probably could have beat, but maybe they were edged out by just some veterans. When you think of in 13, they went 7 games against a tough Denver Nuggets team that had a lot of vets. Then in 14, they went They win 7 against the Clippers team with Blake Griffin and CP3, and then finally in 15 they break through a win. I see this Oklahoma City team the exact same way. They got the NBA MVP, and they got a whole lot of dogs behind them. When you're talking about Williams and Dort and Caruso and Chet Holmgren, I see this Thunder team being able to win this. I want to say maybe in 5 because, I mean, it's going to be so tough for Indiana to get just a game, whether it's a home or away. It's going to be so tough for them. I don't see them getting a game in Oklahoma City. That crowd is going to be bananas by the time they get out there. I don't see them even getting a game in Oklahoma City. But it's going to be really, really tough for them to get a game anywhere against this team. And I'm not going to crown the Oklahoma City Thunder just yet. But, man, a phenomenal season, back-to-back phenomenal seasons. Then this year they come out and get 68 wins, and they've proven it in this playoffs. They haven't just won. They've dominated in every single series that they played.
Yes, they have. Yes, they have. And like I said, the only advantage I give Indiana is Rick Carlisle, and if he can make the adjustments, and we know he can make the necessary adjustments to match up with any team like he's done. He's pushed all the right buttons. Let's see if he can continue to do that and make this series more interesting than what we think it will be.
Yeah.
But I'm like you, Oklahoma City. I think they just have too much, and they're defensive minded, but they do score. And this is a team that has the personnel and the roster that can run with Indiana.
Yeah, exactly.
And they can be fast or they can be slow.
Mm-hmm.
But one thing about you with their defense, I think they'll slow Indiana up and make them get into their sets and make them have to score and half-court offense instead of getting the ball out the net and just pushing it and running like they did against New York.
Yeah.
So that's the advantage I get them. And plus, OKC is at home, which you like you say is going to be jumping. It's going to be crazy, and they're the favorites, and they're favorites for a reason, and that's because they've been playing better than anybody the whole year.
The entire year from start to finish, they've got the home court advantage, and that's big when you're talking about the finals, especially in a home crowd like Oklahoma City. These guys are 35-6 at home this year. Like they don't lose at home. They don't lose many. In those 6 games, we don't even know who was playing in those 6 games. That could have been at the end of the year when guys are sitting down. This team has been phenomenal all year long at home. Even on the road, these guys have been phenomenal. So I mean, Oklahoma City, I think this is their time to shine, and they'll finally break through. And SGA will be one of those rare guys to get a chance to win MVP of the season, Finals MVP most likely, and best record in the league. It's not too many people that have done that at all throughout NBA history. So I think SGA is going to be able to join them in doing that. Like I said, folks, that game is on Thursday when they'll get a chance to play each other. 7:30 ABC is where it will all start for the NBA Finals. I can't wait to be able to watch that game, and we'll be talking about these finals all week long. Indiana Pacers versus Oklahoma City Thunder. Folks, I want to switch over and talk about a little bit of local news here in the Central Texas area. First off, the FCA Bowl, Victory Bowl, Fellowship of Christian Athletes football game, the all-star game that they put on every single year, was this past weekend, and we got a chance to cover it right here on Centex Sports Network. If you guys did not get a chance to see it live, you will be able to catch the rebroadcast that's going to be on the CW network, I believe, this weekend. So make sure you guys are getting ready to tune in for that. I want to shout out to Ben and all those guys at the FCA, the Fellowship of Christian Athletes, for being able to work that out again. Wayne, you've been around this Waco area, so you've seen this FCA Bowl multiple different times for these guys. What does it mean for those guys to be able to go out and for a lot of guys get a chance to play one more time? When you're talking about a lot of seniors, some of those guys don't get the chance to go to that next level and play, but they get one last time to get to put the pads on and go out there and compete with some contemporaries of theirs from around Centex.
It's just a great opportunity for high school seniors to go out and compete against guys from different schools and to throw the pads on once again, even if it's your last time to do so.
Yeah.
You know, I got to play in a bowl game when I was coming out, and, man, it meant so much to me playing in the All Bowl, which was Texas All-Stars against Oklahoma All-Stars, which they don't have anymore.
I need to bring that back.
But man, it was a wonderful opportunity and a great thing to go out there and to play against people from a different state.
Yep.
And and when you just play in one district and you don't get to go and play against the best guys, and you want to see how you measure up against other people, that's what it was for me. How do I measure up against guys from Oklahoma? Guys that are all-stars and guys on the same caliber as me, that's seniors. How do I measure up? And so it gives you that opportunity to go out and compete one last time. And like you said, kudos to Ben, man. I've been knowing this guy and kind of involved with this game in some type of capacity over the years I was. And not so much the last couple of years, but, man, this is a great thing that they're doing. I love it for you giving these young guys a chance to go out and compete once again.
Yeah, definitely. It's always a super great opportunity. Like you said, FCA does a lot for these kids, not just in this game, but all throughout their high school career. They get a chance to help these guys out. They put on a huge event and bring all-stars in and guys in from every part. And I think that's big for those kids because you get a chance to compete against and play with guys that you wouldn't have had a chance to compete against or play with. They've got everything from 6A schools. There were some guys out there from Ellison, one of the quarterbacks from Ellison, all the way down to six-man football.
Six-man football, yeah. So that's why I say for a guy like that that's playing six-man football or playing in that 2A or 1A, man, gives you an opportunity to go up and match up against some of these guys. You always want to know where you stand, but it gives you that opportunity to do so. You get to get a jersey with your name on it to hang up for the last time, and go on to do better things. But it's definitely a great bowl game, and like I said, man, I love it. And to have fellowship of Christian athletes attached to that means so much.
Yeah.
So, thank you, Fellowship of Christian Athletes. Thank you, Ben, and that whole organization for continually putting on that game year in and year out.
Yeah, definitely. Even through COVID, when we had just started working with them, I think right before COVID is when we started. Even through COVID, they still tried to find a way to be able to help these kids and get these kids something to do. So Ben does a phenomenal job with those guys. Like I said, you'll be able to catch that rebroadcast. It'll be this weekend on the CW network. You'll be able to catch that at your local television stations. Tom Barfield will be on the call along with the great Coach Johnny Tusa will be Coach on there as well, who's always involved with the FCA. And ever since we've been a part of it, he's been there each and every time. He's there early, and he's talking to everybody. Who's there.
As a matter of fact, when I was in high school, they didn't have a game, but we had Fellowship of Christian Athletes. And we used to have Fellowship of Christian Athletes at Coach Tusa's house. So that's how far back I go with that. And you talking about over 30-something, 40 or some years ago that this organization came out and started this fellowship with athletes. I also ran summer track for Fellowship of Christian Athletes when I was in high school. So I have a long affiliation with these guys, been involved with them, not just during my time in high school, but even after that time. And it's a great organization, and it's a great organization to be involved in.
Definitely, folks. So make sure you guys check that out this weekend on that rebroadcast. I believe at about 11 o'clock is when the rebroadcast will be. So make sure you guys getting ready to tune in for that. Going on also in the high school area, we have now crowned 2 state champions coming right out of the Waco, Texas area. And the Midway Panthers, their softball team was able to get that 6A division title or 6A state championship title in their game on Saturday, as they took out Clear Springs this past weekend in a dominant performance as well. They were able to go out there and win. I believe it was 9-1 was the final score in that game for the 6A Division I title. This Midway team was in the finals last year, weren't able to close the deal out. They come back this year. Now they're able to close that deal. Huge accomplishment for those young ladies. And on the Robinson side, to be able to go out there and win again, I believe they won in I want to say the late 90s or early 2000s, might have been 99 when they won their last softball championship. And now to get back to that, going out there and winning another softball championship in that 4A Division II title. Wayne, like we said earlier or before on the show, you've got a chance to watch these young ladies up close and personal doing umpiring a lot of these games. So you get to see each and every night the talent just in this Central Texas area in this softball, for the softball high school championships. Talk a little bit about Robinson and Midway being able to close that deal out and
Well-
winning it all.
Well, I'm going to go on the Midway side first.
Mm-hmm.
And it had to be a long year for Midway. Midway was there last year,
Mm-hmm.
was in the last inning, up, I think, about 7 points and ended up losing it. So it left a bad taste in their mouth
Yeah.
all the way up until now. They wasn't able to close it out. But, man, it wasn't going to be any denying these girls this year. Congratulations to the Midway Pantherettes for going out and getting the job done. And, man, like I say, this Central Texas area is heavy, and has great athletes, great softball going on around here. I do select umpiring on the weekends and have done some high school games, and man, these girls, we have some very talented softball players around in this area, and when these girls get to high school, they already ready. They already varsity ready when they're in the 9th grade to go and play, and they play at a very high level. And then on the Robinson side, the same thing, man. It's you get opportunities to see these young girls start from T-ball and coach pitch up, and you can already tell that, hey, these girls are going to be good, and then they go on to play select and then get to high school, and the same little girls that you see playing that you would see them playing every weekend. Now you see them playing at a high level doing high school, and I want to congratulate the Robinson Rockets.
Yeah.
And for a job well done and a great season. Congratulations, and man, we'll probably be hearing about both of these teams again next year.
Yeah, that's what I'm thinking. I mean, for Midway to go back-to-back years like that, I'm expecting them to have another great run next year. And Robinson, who's always had a really good softball team, being able to break through once again and finish that deal off as well. Also, we talked a little bit about it last week, but Riesel, that got to their state championship as well in 2A. They fell short, but a great season and a historic season for that Riesel program to be able to get all the way to the state finals for the first time. So I want to add them in on this docket as well.
Season well, I mean, a very good season, and you have nothing to be ashamed about. You got to a place where a lot of teams weren't able to get to.
Yeah.
You got there, and good luck next year, and let's try to get there, and let's go win it.
Also, on the Midway side, their baseball team still in this thing. They're playing for the state championship coming up here soon. They'll be down there in Round Rock to play against Prosper, I believe, is who they'll play. And they'll play in their first state baseball game since 2003. So, huge accomplishment for them. Like I said, I went to Midway. Baseball was always huge, but for one reason or another, they always seemed to come up short a little bit. Now, being able to get all the way back to the state championship game and having a chance to compete in state, the whole city will be behind you and be watching to see you guys close this out. It's a huge accomplishment to be able to do that. And it takes a lot, man, for baseball and softball and high school and college, because school is out for mostly everybody when you talk about high school and college. And you got to still stay locked in and be ready to go each and every day going forward with them. So I want to add in Midway baseball to that as well.
Midway and China Spring. China Spring just bailed out this weekend. Had a great season, fell short. But another school with great baseball minds and great players and a great baseball legacy that'll be good year in and year out.
Yeah, no, for sure. A great baseball legacy and softball legacy there at Midway. And not only at Midway, but the China Springs, the Robinsons, even when you go down to the smaller levels in Riesel. So Central Texas has been putting on in a huge way here in these softball and baseball tournaments, and I expect those two teams to be able to try to close a deal out as well. On the collegiate side here locally, we're talking about softball and baseball. MCC softball, their team fell a little bit short this year in the Nationals, but they came out and have 5 All-Americans off of their team once again. Each and every year, I feel like they're able to go out here and do this. They do a phenomenal job at MCC with both programs, but their softball team naming 5 All-Americans again. I mean, you can just check the history books. MCC is putting out All-Americans every single year in their softball program. Coach Barry has been doing a phenomenal job ever since he's taken over at head coach over there for their softball program, pulling out 5 All-Americans with their team as well. On the baseball side for MCC, they fell short this past weekend in the semifinals. Were able to take those teams all the way to the wire. MCC was an underdog in a lot of these games in that World Series, and they stayed resilient. They stayed together and were able to fight. Not only in this series, they were the underdog in the regionals. They were in a super tough region with teams like Weatherford, and then they got to go out west and play the Midlands and the Odessas and these super powerhouse teams.
Yeah. Blinn and all these schools,
and they came out on top in that regional tournament. So this MCC team, led by Coach Tyler, has done a phenomenal job too on the baseball side. Talk about both that softball and baseball program over there at MCC that's been doing a phenomenal job.
Over the years, traditionally strong, man, and has put out a number of All-Americans, conference players, all-conference players, and a lot of guys have gone on from the baseball team to be drafted.
Yeah.
So, I mean, you talk about a baseball program that's nationally recognized, and they've done a great job. Sean and the whole crew of losing one coach and getting another coach and keeping the same tradition going. And so, MCC baseball is here to stay, one of the best programs, JUCO programs in the nation, softball and baseball.
Yeah, a phenomenal job, not only with just those programs, but just MCC sports in general. If y'all haven't already, folks, y'all need to be tuned in to what's going on at MCC, who's now adding volleyball to the ticket as well. They'll have volleyball in this upcoming fall as well. Coach Sean Trokum, athletic director down there at MCC, does a phenomenal job, consistent excellence through all their sports programs, because we can even talk about the golf program that does great. We can talk about their dance team that's won 10 national championships in the dance competitions as well. Consistent excellence, and that's right here in the Central Texas area, folks. So y'all should be supporting this team.
Don't get enough credit. They don't get enough credit, but they do a wonderful job at McLennan Community College, man. Like I say, multiple All-Americans, but not just in the baseball, not in just the basketball, but the dance team and the golf team and adding volleyball to their program, and I think they'll be just as great. So support MCC Athletics.
Definitely. You guys should be supporting that. All the MCC Athletics as well. I want to go over to a little bit of high school recruiting, talking about some football here and some newcomers that are coming up on the docket as far as the big guys being recruited here in the Central Texas area. A young 2029 freshman. That's already crazy seeing 2029. I had to go and ask. I was like, what year is 2029 coming out of high school? I couldn't remember which year that was, but that's the freshman. If you're coming into this freshman year, that's your class coming out as the 2029 year. But at La Vega, Edison King, a young kid who's already starting to get a lot of recognition here in the Central Texas area, has gotten his first D1 offer, and is from your alma mater there in the Red Raiders, Texas Tech. They're getting in early on this kid.
And the deal about that, if you're able to go to a camp and you're out there and you're showcasing and you're around guys of your age, they're looking at potential.
Yes.
And if you go up and you show out, you can get that offer. And that's what we've been getting to. They've been trying to get to these guys earlier and putting that letter in front of them and saying, hey, we want you and we want to offer you a scholarship right now. You know, it gives a kid a lot to think about. Yeah. And that first offer is always the best offer. I can remember when I was in high school and I was running track, and I was in the 10th grade, and then my first offer was a track scholarship, and it was to Tennessee. And so I'm like, man, like somebody like, and at the time Tennessee had one of the most recognizable track teams and one of the most elite track teams in the whole
still got a good program.
So that was my first offer, and I considered it a lot, and it was before I got a football offer. So that first one always means the most to you, because it almost made me go there. Young man, go to Texas Tech, come be a Raider. No, man.
He got a lot of time in between to think about that.
You got a lot of time between, man, and you have to do what's best for you.
Yeah.
And you consult with your parents. You can and you make up the best decision for you and where you think you'll fit in and where it'll be family for you. And that might not necessarily be the Red Raiders. You got a lot of time to think about this.
Oh, yeah.
But that first offer is always special to you because that's the first team that thought you were worthy of playing on the collegiate level. And so if that means that much, it means that much for them to offer you a scholarship, then that means it's going to be a lot of teams that's going to be shooting at you. So you make the best decision for you, but it's always great to get that opportunity to get a scholarship offer from a Big 12 school or any school for that matter.
No, definitely. That's always huge, that first offer. And, I mean, they're getting in early. He's going into now what will be his freshman year. And, man, this La Vega team, I'm telling you, they're going to have some promise going into it. I know they got to state last year, and they did graduate a lot of really good players as well. But as you can see, once again, Coach Hyde, those guys, they retooling.
That's what it's all about. When you have a great program and you have a success of winning, everybody wants to play for a winner.
Yeah.
You know, some kids, they want to play for a winner. I want to go be a part of something special and have a chance to win and have a chance to get to the state level on that type of that type of recognition. So you're going to always be relevant and you're going to always get good kids because everybody wants to be a part of a winner.
No, definitely. Everybody wants to be a part of that, and we're seeing that with this La Vega team. They're putting out consistently good players. Once again, like I just talked about, they got a young kid that I think is going to start getting a lot of D1 offers in Courtney Parr, especially if he's able to shine in this 7-on-7 tournament that they're going to have at the end of the month here. I think he's going to start getting a lot of offers. Jabari Thornton, who's been playing phenomenal, who's right now committed to Oklahoma State as well, and now you'll just be able to throw this kid and add him in on the docket as well with Coach Hyde and what they've been doing out there at La Vega. So I'm super excited to watch this La Vega team. Some more recruiting news here locally. 4-star running back at Midway, Lathan Washington, who's been getting a lot of attention over the last few weeks. Dave Campbell had him as one of the highest risers as far as recruiting over the last few months. He's been getting a lot of attention now, finally gets that big-time offer from the state school in Texas, chimes in now to add an offer with him. He got an offer from Baylor just a couple of years ago, and that's really when I got on my radar. But last year, he had a really good season at Midway at running back, rushed for over 1,200 yards last year as a sophomore. Now going into his junior year, he's got offers from the Ole Misses, from the SMUs, from all these different schools, TCU, Baylor. Now Texas joins in on the party as well, adding an offer in. What do you think about him getting that offer from Texas? Not one, because you know what it means to be able to get that offer from Texas. You talked about it before on the show, how you were committed to Texas before you went to Tech. And it means a lot when you see that burnt orange coming through your door and they start to give you that offer.
And you're talking about, at this point in time, one of the top 5 programs in the country.
Yes.
And
absolutely.
so when you're able to that adds so much credibility to your name when you're offered by one of the top 5 programs in the country. And we talk about Ohio State, Michigan, you talk about Alabama, and you talk about Georgia, and then you talk about Texas. Those are the Oregon. You can throw Oregon in there. But those are, some of the top programs in the country.
Yeah.
And one of the top 5 programs has offered you a scholarship. So you're going to get – so that means there's a lot of credibility behind that. Congratulations to you. That means you are one of the top players in the nation.
Yes.
When a top 5 school comes after you like Texas. So, man, go out. Don't just rest on that. Go out and have you a great season.
Yeah.
And everything you want will come to you. And you'll have more happen for you. Not just Texas, but you'll have the school that you want to play for. And you'll get to choose where you want to go.
Yeah.
But it's always great to get an offer from a team like Texas.
Yeah, definitely a huge deal for them. And this is a Midway team that I'm expecting to have a good year. Last year they had a first-year head coach at Midway, and they had a phenomenal season. When you think about the last few seasons before that, really rebounded in a big way last season. Now coming in with a lot of those guys returning, had a kind of young team last year when you think about their team. Now a lot of those guys returning. I'm expecting a lot out of this Midway team, and it's going to start with their 4-star running back coming in next year. I want to jump over to a couple quick takes. Wayne, I know you got to get out of here in a little bit. I want to go to some quick takes here before we let you get off of here. One of them being, I know that you're a baseball fan. Like I said earlier in the show, Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge put on a show this last weekend. For those of you that have been watching in the baseball season, the Dodgers and the Yankees have given everybody something to watch. First off, in the baseball season, especially when we talk about the Dodgers off to another really, really great start. Shohei Ohtani off to what could be another MVP season, which would end up being his 4th MVP if he wins it, and we'll put him in rarefied air with Barry Bonds and different guys like that. Shohei Ohtani and Aaron Judge, I feel like, are probably the 2 best players, if not 2 of the best players, if not the 2 best players in baseball. Last weekend, even though the Dodgers were able to win majority of that series in a dominant fashion, Aaron Judge and Shohei Ohtani, every time you look up, if you were just tracking their at-bats, every time you look up, they're getting some type of action going, a lot of those being home runs. In the first game when the Dodgers dominated, Aaron Judge had 2 home runs in that game, and Shohei Ohtani joined the party with a home run as well. What do you think about those 2 guys, what they would do last weekend, and just so far this season, how they've been performing?
Okay, you're talking about 2 of the 2 biggest names in MLB baseball. Mm-hmm. You're talking about 2 programs, 2 organizations, the New York Yankees and the LA Dodgers.
Yep.
2 of the biggest names in MLB baseball, 2 of the biggest organizations. And you're talking about Shohei and Aaron Judge. Man, it gets no bigger than that. The ratings when you have Judge playing against Shohei, and then you talk about the other guys that's involved. I mean, New York has star power.
Yes.
LA has star power. So, man, they put on a show. I even watched these games this weekend, and and all of them were kind of lopsided.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, they all were.
I think they were all lopsided, and it wasn't really no great baseball, but you saw a lot of star potential. Like Muncy hit a couple of home
Max
runs.
Muncy.
And guy that went to Baylor.
Yeah.
One game was 18-2. Another game was 7-1. It was just some blowouts. But these are 2 teams, and these are 2 guys that you want to see in the World Series like we did last year. So it's a ratings thing. I know ESPN had it on Sunday Night Baseball, and I know that's probably the highest rated baseball game that they probably had this year.
So
when you
definitely
talk about Shohei and then you talk about Aaron Judge.
Yeah, two of the biggest stars internationally. The stars when we talk about just the ratings that Shohei is going to bring in alone, and the phenomenal season that he's having. I think he's leading the league in homers again this year. Off to another really great start, and wants to be able to pitch again. He said he wants to, by the end of the season, be able to get back in the bullpen and be able to pitch again. This dude is a generational talent that we've been watching, and the Dodgers are loaded. I mean, I'm not a baseball expert like I've said on here again, but I don't see how these guys could lose in the World Series again when you talk about just the star power. They moved Mookie Betts now out of the outfield to shortstop, and now he's playing at an all-league level at shortstop, and we never see that, especially a guy towards the end of their career. And, man, he's playing phenomenal. Max Muncy, you mentioned him. He's playing phenomenal. Their bullpen has been great. Dodgers right now.
Freddie Freeman.
Yeah, Freddie Freeman's been playing great all year.
So and then they got the pitchers from Japan, and so man, it's just so much star power when you talk about these guys. And man, it wouldn't be a surprise to me if we didn't see them both in which I'm rooting for Texas, but it wouldn't be a surprise to me if we didn't see these 2 teams in the World Series again this year.
No, that wouldn't be a surprise to me at all, seeing those 2 go out there. And we'll be talking some more baseball as we get further into the summer, because basketball season's pretty much almost over with at this point going forward. So we'll be getting some more baseball on here as well. I want to talk a little bit of NFL here before we let you go, Wayne. Shedeur Sanders, we talked a little bit before the show started, getting some news recognition again for some of the wrong reasons. Once again, there was reports coming out from some of their local media that, he wasn't necessarily paying attention to some of the meetings. Some of the people said he had on headphones in meetings, which obviously, Wayne, that's a no-go at all. Having some headphones on in the meetings. They said one of the times he was maybe on FaceTime with somebody, kind of not paying attention to one meeting. These are just reports. There's no validity to any of this. It's not like anybody spoke on it. Dion has not come out and said it was a foolish report, in his words, said that he doesn't believe any of that stuff that they said out of there. So we don't know exactly what's going on. But once again, Shedeur seems to find himself in the media for something non-football related. What do you think about this just Shedeur's story just in general from what we're seeing right now on the latest with him?
Man, it's never ending with him. I mean, you're talking about a guy with everybody's interested in this guy.
Mm-hmm.
You're talking about a guy with the #1 sales and rookie jerseys at this point. You're talking about a guy that got national recognition week in and week out on the collegiate level. When Colorado was playing, a nationally televised game every weekend. So a guy with a lot of attention. And I don't know if it's some truth to it or not, but I can definitely tell you that's something that you don't want to do, because it's an honor and a privilege to get invited to do an interview with a team, because that means they're thinking highly of you, and that means they're thinking of drafting you in the first round and making you a part of their organization. So if he did do that, I can see that as that you turning some teams off, because arrogancy is something that they don't want.
No.
You being confident in your ability, that's a great thing.
Mm-hmm.
But when you're being arrogant and you're being disrespectful, that's another.
Yeah.
So if it's true, it's definitely something you don't want to do.
No.
It's definitely not going to get you drafted, because you don't want a disgruntled player even before you even draft him and when you have the power to draft him. And if that's the case, I can see why teams didn't draft him, because all these teams communicate with one another. And when there's information that comes out like that, you have so many inside reports and leaked media information that everybody in the league will know it, and it has a trickling effect. And maybe that was the trickling effect that didn't get him drafted into the 5th round. But we don't know. Mm-hmm. It's all speculation, because no one's going to put their name on this.
No.
It's something that was leaked,
yep.
And that's the way it's going to be.
Yeah, there's so much noise that came out of this pre-draft process for Shedeur, and whether he did or didn't do those things, we know that something did happen in order for him to fall into that 5th round. Like you said, confidence is one thing, arrogance is another. Especially when you're talking about these NFL teams. They don't want to deal with that. They're not going to let you come in with the I'm bigger than you mentality, because NFL is something that nobody's bigger than the brand. People show up to watch the Cleveland Browns when they're 0-16. And the dog pound will be full. Nobody's going to be bigger than the brand. And even in a different way than the NBA. People will follow LeBron wherever he goes, whether he's in Cleveland, whether he's in the Lakers. When you talk about the NFL, people are going to follow that team regardless what happens. We don't care if we go 16-0 or 0-16. People are going to show up and fill those stands. So we don't know what happened in that process, man. I'm at this point, I'm just ready for a training camp to start and for these guys to put pads on and get a chance to play some football, because all of the reports of he was unprofessional, unprepared, of all of this, well, all of it doesn't even really matter at this point. He's on the Browns, and he's competing for a spot at this point.
Yeah, you just got to put that behind you. You have an opportunity to dispel all that at this point and just go out and play football. That's what you want to do. Just go play football. But when these people, when it's in their hands to stamp out your career and to draft you and this, that, and other, those are definitely things that you don't want to do.
Yeah.
But like you said, at this point, it's all about going out and playing and proving yourself. And if you do that, you'll be okay. But you have to wait until you can get to that opportunity to where you have been successful in this league. Then you can say whatever you want to
say. Yeah, once you get to that point, you do whatever you want. We've seen Tom Brady going back arguing with coordinators and all type of people, cussing at Peyton Manning doing the same thing. But they earned that spot before they were able to go out there and do that.
And they were able to bounce from team to team and make a lot of money.
Yeah, exactly.
But they let the success come first.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's like Antonio Brown. Antonio Brown, he played for 4 teams.
Yeah.
But the reason he's going to play for 4 teams is because he could play.
Yeah.
And he proved that he can play.
Man.
So you got to go and prove you can play. And once you prove you can play in that league, then it won't be nothing that you can't say.
We won't start seeing the news or reports of stuff that you said. No one's going to care at that point.
At that point.
You go out there and throw 3-4 touchdowns in a game, 300 yards. hey, they're not gonna care what you come and say or what headphones you decide to wear in a meeting if that did happen or didn't happen. But that's the team that we'll be keeping a close eye on all year. Obviously, as Shedeur Sanders has a chance to compete for a spot, and that's all they can ask for at this point. His brother the same way, getting a chance to compete for a spot. Shiloh out there in Tampa Bay. So that's all you can ask for as a dad. If you're talking about Coach Dion, he just wants his kids to have a fair chance to go out there and compete.
It's an opportunity.
Just an opportunity to go out there and do it. And they'll be able to get that this upcoming year. Folks, we got to go into a quick break. We'll talk some more when we come back. We got to let Wayne jump off of here. Appreciate you stopping by with us and talking again. Your Red Raiders right now on top of the second, up there playing against Oklahoma in what should be another really, really good game that I'll be tuning into once we jump off here today. Folks, like I said, we'll take a quick break. When we come back, we got some more quick takes to talk about the NFL and NBA. So stay tuned. Stay locked in right here on Centex Primetime. We'll be right back after this short break. What's up, everybody? My name is Jalen Gillis. You may know me from Centex Sports Network. We're starting a new platform, Recruit 254. Our mission is to highlight the amazing student athletes of 254. So if you're in the Waco, Killeen, Temple, Mart, Marlin, or any surrounding 254 areas, follow this platform and join the movement. Recruit 254. 254, let's run it up.
My name is Debbie Kimbrell. I am the administrative assistant here at Anderson Chapel. I also work as part of the media ministry. It was great working with Lighthouse. Everyone was very professional, came in to do video recording and streaming for a conference that we hosted here on time. They did what they needed to do, was seamless and transparent. It was great. The feedback, everyone was impressed. So it went out, it was a conference level, so a state level event, and everyone was impressed with the product and the result. We got the DVDs too, which people purchased, and they were impressed with those. It was great overall.
This is why you need Centex Primetime. Jalen Gillis brings the realness. Dive into the heart of sports with the most passionate commentary around. From pro to high school, Jalen's got the insight and energy you crave. Catch all the action weekdays from 5 to 7 p.m. on the Centex Sports Network, only on YouTube. Join the conversation and elevate your sports knowledge with Centex Primetime. Don't miss it.
Need video or audio solutions? Lighthouse Streaming, a full-scale media agency, can transform any event. Check this out. We're talking live streaming that's crisp and clear, event audio that hits every note, and church video and audio solutions that'll enhance worship. Corporate events, we got those on lock too. From concerts to conferences, Lighthouse Streaming and Audio makes your vision shine. Book your appointment now at lighthousestreaming.com or call 254-252-4206 for a free consultation. Let's elevate your event and light up the stage.
Hello, my name is Roy Gillis, founder and CEO of Lighthouse Streaming. Over the last 4 years, we've had some tremendous successes, none of which could have been accomplished without you, our clients, and our viewers. From my family and the staff of Lighthouse Streaming, thank you.
What's up, everybody? My name is Jalen Gillis. You may know me from Centex Sports Network. We're starting a new platform, Recruit 254. Our mission is to highlight the amazing student athletes of 254. So if you're in the Waco, Killeen, Temple, Mart, Marlin, or any surrounding 254 areas, follow this platform and join the movement. Recruit 254. 254, let's run it up.
My name is Debbie Kimbrell. I am the administrative assistant here at Anderson Chapel. I also work as part of the media ministry. It was great working with Lighthouse. Everyone was very professional, came in to do video recording and streaming for a conference that we hosted here on time. They did what they needed to do, was seamless and transparent. It was great. The feedback, everyone was impressed. So it went out, it was a conference level, so a state level event, and everyone was impressed with the product and the result. We got the DVDs too, which people purchased, and they were impressed with those. It was great overall.
This is why you need Centex Primetime. Jalen Gillis brings the realness. Dive into the heart of sports with the most passionate commentary around. From pro to high school.
I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today. Jalen Gillis still here. Final moments of the show today. Like I said, Wayne had to jump out of here. He had to go and take care of a baseball game that he's got to get to. But we're going to close the show out as we've gotten a chance to talk about a lot here today so far. Still got some more we need to cover in today's episode. Once again, thank everybody for tuning in with us over on YouTube, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV. Make sure you guys go on there, hit that subscribe button. Also click that bell so you can get notified every time that we go live here as well.
Like I said, make sure you guys go on there and check us out, Centex Sports Network / Centex Sports TV over on YouTube. Check us out over there. Hit that subscribe button whenever you can. Got some more quick takes to jump into before we get off the show here today. Saquon Barkley is going to be the cover athlete for Madden as they release their cover athlete. Saquon Barkley had a phenomenal season last year. Took that all the way to the Super Bowl as they were able to win it all last year. Has the record, I believe, for most yards in a season when you count playoffs in as well. Had a chance to break that 2,000 mark record, but they ended up not playing him in the final game. No one, they don't care about it because they ended up winning. I still think they should have gave him one last shot to try to go out there and break that record, but wasn't able to do that. Still, nonetheless, phenomenal season. Gets awarded with getting the cover of Madden. Hopefully, the Madden curse is dead by now. I really don't even remember who's on the last few covers of Madden at this point. I think it might still be going because if I remember right on my Madden 25, it's Christian McCaffrey, and yeah, we know how that worked out. So hopefully Saquon able to avoid that Madden curse and goes out there and has another phenomenal season. Just got done talking about the Shedeur Sanders deal as well and all the controversy surrounding him and his name. Like I said before we went to break, just let these guys go out there and play football, man. Too much talk going on about the pre-draft process and this happened and what this guy said and he wasn't prepared for this. Hey, all of that's over with, man. Let's just go out here and play ball. As Mark Aguirre said on that Bad Boys documentary, just throw the balls out there, man, and let the guys go and hoop. I think that's what they should do in the Shedeur situation. Inside the NBA on TNT does their final episode last week, or really a couple of days ago at the end of that Indiana game versus the Knicks. They close out for the last time on Inside the NBA as far as on TNT. Now, they did ink a deal with ESPN, so Inside the NBA will come back with just a little bit of a different twist, but definitely the end of an era because I don't think that is going to be the same show. ESPN and Turner Sports are a little bit different. They're owned by different people. Disney might have some different rules and regulations than TNT Sports had. So I'm not exactly sure how that's going to go. All I know is that TNT Inside the NBA on TNT, as we know it, is over with. They're moving on. No more Inside NBA or really sports going on TNT. I think they'll still be doing wrestling for those of you that are wrestling fans and they want to watch that. But, man, I'm not going to be watching them dudes in leotards jumping around out there. So Inside the NBA on TNT officially over with. Shout out to some of the greatest to ever do it. Like I've said on this show before, I think the greatest sports show probably ever, at least in my tenure of watching sports and paying attention to sports. I can always remember Inside the NBA with Shaq, Kenny, Chuck, and Ernie as well being able to hold down the fort. We'll see him again over on ESPN. Might look a little bit different. Who we won't see is one of the GOATs for when you're talking about broadcasting and something that I do, and Kevin Harlan, man, one of the greatest to ever do it, ever graced the mic as far as an NBA broadcaster. We won't hear him again. He had an emotional sign-off on his final sign-off on Saturday in that game as well. So shout out to Inside the NBA. Shout out to TNT Sports. I'm excited to see what it's going to look like on ESPN. I know it won't be the same as what it looked like before, but it's still going to be Shaq, Kenny, Ernie, and Chuck. So if we got them four, then we're off to a good start with those guys as well. Want to talk about the NBA Finals coming up, the Indiana Pacers and the Oklahoma City Thunder. We talked about it a little bit earlier, but who we didn't mention is probably the most important person to this Finals run, and he's not going to play at all. And he plays a huge part in both of these teams' final run, and that's Paul George. Paul George, Podcast P, Playoff P, whichever one you call him. I would call him Podcast P. because I don't know what he did in the playoffs to get the playoff P name, unless it's somebody roasting him or something, but that's a whole different thing. Paul George has a connection to these finals more than any other player that's not playing in these finals. He is directly responsible for both these teams being built. Wayne touched on it a little bit earlier in the show, talking about it. Paul George is almost directly responsible for both these teams' success. When you talk about an Indiana Pacers team, who Paul George was their star guy up until about 2017 when they traded him. When they traded him to the Oklahoma City Thunder, who the Thunder just seem to always have star power some kind of way, are drafting stars, because they traded Paul George for Domantas Sabonis, who the Thunder drafted, who turned out to be a perennial all-star once again. So another shout out to Sam Presti. But they traded him to the Oklahoma City Thunder for Domantas Sabonis. Then a couple of years later, they trade Domantas Sabonis for Tyrese Halliburton, who's now helped this team be able to get to them. So Paul George directly affected that trade and them even getting Tyrese Halliburton and then building this team in general. They used some of the assets to draft guys and make trades to get different guys as well. So this Paul George had a direct impact, like I said, on the Pacers in this squad getting there. You look at the Thunder side, Oklahoma City Thunder, like I just said, they traded Domantas Sabonis for Paul George. When it was time to move off of Paul George because Russell Westbrook wanted to get out of Oklahoma City, according to Paul George, that's what he just said, that Russ wanted to get out of OKC, he said, all right, we all know the deal with Kawhi, and Kawhi said, I'll only sign with the Clippers if y'all make a trade for Paul George. So they trade for Paul George. Who do they get in return for the trade? SGA, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander, who was a young rising star over there in the Clippers. They trade for him. They saw something for him. And that trade directly affected them getting to this finals run, not only getting Shai, but the amount of assets they got in that trade. They got 4 or 5 first-round picks just from that trade alone, on top of getting SGA. So they got an MVP and then got to later use some of those picks to get a Jalen Williams, to get a Chet Holmgren, to be able to get a Lou Dort and draft some of these guys. So the Paul George finals, it's not going to feature Paul George. It's kind of what we're looking at right now. I know that's kind of a strange connection, but Paul George is directly affecting this year's finals run for not only the Oklahoma City side, but for the Indiana Pacers, like I said, the team that he got drafted to. So a lot of people starting to call this the Paul George finals, even though he hasn't gotten to a finals yet, and in my estimation, probably won't get to a finals. But that's a whole nother thing for him. I see the podcast is kicked back up. He took a break from the podcast in the middle of the season because of how terrible the Sixers are, and he said, he knows what it means out there in Philly to be a good team, and the fans aren't going to stand for it. And, man, I hope you get it together, because right now this is looking like one of the biggest busts as far as trying to put a team together ever when you're talking about the Sixers, because I know we got the Nets and different teams like that weren't able to close the deal. The Sixers were terrible. Sixers could have had the number 1 pick. They were horrible this year. And a lot of that is to do with playoff P, podcast P, whichever one you want to call it. So shout out to Paul George, man. You're responsible for both of these teams getting into the finals. There's been a debate sparked online. Who has had the best postseason run, or who was your favorite postseason run of all time? They named different guys off. Of course, you think about Kawhi and the playoff run that he had all the way to the finals. The shot that kept bouncing over and over and over out there in Toronto and finally dropped. Him saying in the Game 3 adjustment in the Eastern Conference Finals when they were down 0-2 to the Bucks is, put me on Giannis. That's the adjustment. And then he goes out there and able to close the deal in the finals against the Golden State Warriors, albeit even though they were injured. Of course, LeBron has got multiple different runs when you're talking about playoff runs. I always think back to the 2018 playoff run, man, because that was really just Bron. I know Kevin Love was on that team, and, you know, they had some decent role players, Jordan Clarkson, J.R. Smith, some guys like that, but not a real championship team. They were able to get to the finals, getting through a tough Celtics team that they went to 7 against, a tough Indiana Pacers team that they went to 7 against when they had Sabonis and Oladipo and all of those guys out there in Indiana as well. They swept the number 1 seed in the Toronto Raptors. That 2018 Braun run was kind of crazy. Then when you think about Game 1, man, I used to sit back and watch that Game 1 all the time, just the replays of the highlights from that Game 1 of the finals. They ended up getting swept in the 2018 finals, didn't win a game, playing against, obviously, the KD Warriors with KD and Steph. So they were going to lose regardless. But game one, when he comes out there and drops 50, was one of the more dominant performances I've ever seen in the finals in my lifetime. They end up not winning the game. We all remember the play. George Hill goes out there and misses free throws. First, everyone wanted to blame J.R. Smith, but if George Hill just makes the free throws, the game's over and they win. But George Hill goes out there and misses free throws. J.R. Smith gets a rebound with about 5 seconds left, doesn't know how much time is left, dribbles it all the way out to half court for no reason, and they end up losing the game in overtime. But that game was a crazy run as well. I think probably one of the most special playoff runs that I've seen is one that I wasn't a super fan of because I wanted Bron to win, and that was the 2011 finals when the Mavericks won. Dirk and those guys took out OKC, who was coming up the next year. They went to the finals. KD, Russ, and James Harden. So that team was already really good. They had to get through a Blazers team with Brandon Roy. If you know, you know. If you don't, please go back and do your homework, do your research on Brandon Roy. Was a killer. They took those guys out with Brandon Roy and LaMarcus Aldridge, swept the Lakers, swept them. And everybody, it was the Lakers when they were. No, we're not going to say it was the Lakers when they're older. They got swept after coming off back-to-back finals. They won back-to-back in 2009 and 2010. 2011, they get swept by Dirk and the Mavs, and then obviously they go out there and close the deal versus the Heatles with Bron and D-Wade and Chris Bosh and all those guys, man. So Dirk has to be probably one of my all-time favorite runs when you're talking about a finals run or just a playoff run in general, as far as seeing somebody just take over games in multiple different aspects. He was taking over the games with free throw shooting. At one point, he had made like 90-something out of 100 free throws in the playoffs. Dirk has a great run that can't be forgotten about, one of the all-time great runs in NBA history when you talk about their team. Team that doesn't get enough credit because we always want to say, that's the series LeBron choked and all this. Well, that is true. LeBron didn't play great, probably one of his worst finals, or his worst finals by far that he ever had. But at the same time, that Mavs team was loaded. Tyson Chandler was a defensive player of the year. They had Caron Butler got injured, and they still had guys like Stojakovic on that team, Jason Kidd, J.J. Barea, Jason Terry. That team was loaded, man. Deshaun Stevenson, a lot of talent on that team, doesn't get enough credit. Sean Marion, Brennan Haywood, a young Ian Mahinmi, all these different guys that they could throw in at the Heatles and at those different guys throughout the playoff run. So Dirk would probably have to be one of my all-time favorite playoff runs when we're talking about NBA playoff runs. The Commanders say that Jaden Daniels will make a huge jump this year. Cliff Kingsbury, the offensive coordinator, says I expect him to take a big jump talking about his play this year. Now, this is my only thing with that. Jaden Daniels, I do believe that he is a really good quarterback. I have him a top 10 quarterback in the league, and as the summer progresses, we'll come out with our list, top 10 and all this kind of stuff. We'll come out with some more of that. But saying he'll take a big jump in next year's, I think it's kind of putting some unnecessary pressure on the guy. I would just say we expect him to have a better season than last year. A big jump means he's going to, be night and day, in my opinion, to what he was last year. Last year, he was great. So when you're taking big jump, do we expect him to win the MVP in year two? I honestly think, and we're getting closer and closer to the NFL season starting, so I have more time to dive into this as we get closer to training camp. We might see a sophomore slump, not really from Jaden Daniels, but just from this team, because your expectations have to be so high after winning 12 games and getting to the conference championship. They were in the NFC championship game last year. They beat the number one seed in the Detroit Lions, who no one really had them beating the Lions, who a lot of people thought was a powerhouse team almost, and they dominated them. I don't see how you take a big jump from there. Saying they could take a jump is cool, but I don't see how you take a big jump. I don't want to put too much unnecessary expectations on them. I think this team, and this is just me, I think they're going to have a worse record than they did last year. Now, I know they went and got Deebo Samuel. I know they went and got some guys on the defensive side of the ball. I know Dan Quinn is a great coach. Cliff Kingsbury, one of the best, if not the best offensive coordinator in the game. But they won 12 games last year and went to the conference championship. How much better do we expect them to be? Do we expect a 14-win season out of this Commanders team? Do we expect a Super Bowl appearance out of this Commanders team? I don't. If Aiden Hutchinson is healthy all last year, I think the Lions have a pretty good chance of getting to the Super Bowl, at least to the NFC Championship game, and maybe losing to Philly. Philly, we expect to be really good. Say what you want, and I talk about the Cowboys a lot on here and their disappointments. Cowboys are going to be decent next year. The Commanders are not just going to be able to roll over the Cowboys like they did last year. Now with the addition of George Pickens coming in, they add some more depth to that offensive line. They've got a decent running back room. Anything is better than the running back room they had last year. Shout out to Rico Dowdle, though, but, man, he's not going to start. We're already seeing it now. He's not going to start on any team this year. So clearly they didn't have a good running game last year. Their defense, they got to make some adjustments. They drafted a kid out of Boston College that's got a lot of potential. I'm interested to see his pairing out there with Micah Parsons. They get Dante Fowler back into the fold after he's coming off a 12-sack season. So, I mean, they got some guys. They're going to get Diggs back healthy, going to get Bland back healthy as well. I'm interested to see what this Cowboys team is going to look like. But the Commanders got some competition before we can just go in and expect them to make a big jump, Jaden Daniels to make a big jump, or for the team to make a big jump. I like what they're doing in Washington or in D.C., but like I said, I can see them winning less games. I'm not surprised by a 10-win Commanders team, a 9-win Commanders team. Maybe they caught everybody by surprise last year. No one expected them to be good. They had number 2 pick in the draft for a reason because they were sorry. And Jaden Daniels comes in and turns all of that around. He is one of my favorite quarterbacks to watch already in the league right now, but I don't want to put too much on the kid too early, man. He's going into his second year into the league. Top jersey sales for rookies have come out. The top 10 jersey sales for rookies so far in this young NFL offseason already. Obviously, number 1 jersey seller, Shedeur Sanders. Big surprise there. Winning the 5th round, but still somehow is the number 1 selling jersey in the nation. I might even give me a jersey. Depends on what it look. The Cleveland Browns colors just so ugly, man. So I don't know if I can get a jersey. Maybe I can get one of those T-shirt jerseys or something that says Sanders on it for Shedeur. But I can't get the jersey, man. That brown and orange is ugly. I don't care what y'all say. Y'all try to make it look good if you want. That brown and orange is ugly. His teammate comes in right behind him with the number 2 jersey sales in Travis Hunter, his college teammate. I'll say it comes in right behind him at number 2. Starting to see more and more clips from Travis Hunter out of Jacksonville for all of y'all that wanted to call him not a real receiver after a couple of practices against nobody. Now all of a sudden he's not a polished receiver. He can't run the routes. He's falling down on the route. We're watching a random clip from a 2-hour practice, and now he can't play receiver. And now we're starting to see clips of him mossing people and doing Travis Hunter type stuff. Big surprise there, but he's there at number 2 in jersey sales. Cam Ward, number 1 pick, comes in at number 3. Most quarterbacks that get picked number 1 overall will probably be number 1 in jersey sales at this point if you're talking about rookie jersey sales. 4, Ashton Genty in Vegas. I think Dak probably has the potential to go up to maybe even number 1 as we go throughout the season. If you're talking about rookie sales, I think he's going to have a really good year in the Raiders team and the Raiders offense that I'm interested to see. Talking about Brock Bowers, who was already one of the best tight ends in the league last year as a rookie. You're talking about Geno Smith coming in, who's one of the most underrated quarterbacks in the NFL. You pair Ashton Genty into that offense, I'm excited to see what that Raider offense is going to look like. Abdul Carter comes in at number 5 for the New York Giants. A pair of Giants is Abdul Carter and Jackson Dart get 5 and 6 out there. T-Mac, Terry Owen McMillan in Carolina is number 7. Matthew Golden kind of breaks the trend from those top 10 picks, him and Jackson Dart. The rest of those guys picked in the top 10. Matthew Golden comes in at number 8 out there in Green Bay. Colston Loveland, the tight end in Chicago. It's Chicago. It's a big market, and it's the Bears, man. They love their team. That's why they're up there. It's not like Colston Loveland has a lot of people wanting to watch him or anything like. I mean, there's a lot of people wanting to watch him, but it's not like he doesn't have the star power that some of these other names have. But he's got that star power as far as a team, even though Caleb Williams didn't want to be there, as we talked about last week. And then closing it out in the top 10 is Tyler Warren from the Indianapolis Colts there at tight end. I'm excited to see all of these rookies, man. Training camp is right around the corner, folks. We'll be covering some more and more about the NFL and some more about the league as we get further in throughout this summer, getting through OTAs and then going into training camp as well. But we are out of time here today, folks. I want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today on Centex Primetime. As always, make sure you go over to YouTube, hit that subscribe button. Also, click the bell so you can get notified every time that we go live here. You can follow us on Facebook, Centex Sports Network, on Twitter at Centex Sports TV. And on Instagram, Centex Sports TV. Follow me on Instagram. You'll see my name at the bottom ticker there, at Jalen Gillis. Follow me on Instagram at any time. You can also follow the show on Instagram at Centex Primetime. Want to thank everybody for tuning in with us here today. Tomorrow, we'll be back, same time, same place, where we'll see you right here on Centex Primetime and on Centex Sports Network. Like I said, make sure we're keeping out and supporting these local teams in the Central Texas area, as Midway still has a chance to go out there and win a state title. The softball team has already brought one home. The baseball team trying to bring one home now as well. Also, make sure you guys catch the rebroadcast of the FCA Victory Bowl. Wayne was on here earlier. He went into depth talking about that FCA Victory Bowl. Was on here a little bit earlier. Make sure you guys catch that rebroadcast, getting a chance to see these kids go out there and compete in what was a really competitive game. Ended up being a tie, 17-17. A lot of action in that game, some big-time highlights. You'll be able to catch all of that on CW this weekend for the rebroadcast. The Centex Sports Network had a chance to cover that game this past weekend. Got Tom Barfield and the coaching legend, Coach Johnny Tusa, on the call during that game, so check out that rebroadcast this weekend. Signing off here today is Jalen Gillis. We'll see you guys tomorrow, same time, same place. We'll be right here on Centex Prime Time. We'll see you guys tomorrow. Everybody have a great evening.